This is Stephanie Diaz de Leon.
This is Nicholas Garden. This is David Dahmer.
This is Omar Wahid.
And this is Rob Travel.
And it's 365 Amplified. And we got a full house today, y'all.
The whole crew's here.
I know, isn't this precious? Let's all take a moment. Enjoy this.
I appreciate
our togetherness.
Yep.
Our community building. Mm-hmm. This counts. This is called team building. These podcasts. Welcome back, everybody. We are going to get right into it because we got a lot to talk about.
We do.
A little bit later in the podcast, we'll talk to Jamie Betters and Apache Danforth. They're both members of the Oneida Nation. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the new restaurant that they opened in Green Bay that'll be focused on indigenous food, indigenous culture, and that is now open, and I got to talk to them about their grand opening coming up. So that'll be in the second part of the program. But before we get to that, Dave, you had a piece this week on the big new mural that folks might have noticed if you're driving down Park Street.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and a lot of people were loving it. And the second it got up, people were just very excited about it. So instead of getting any story up right away, I talked to as many people as possible. And I talked to Michael Ford, who is the designer.
The hip-hop architect?
Hip-hop architect, brand new design. And he was very excited about it, too. And it was difficult, he said, just to, narrow it down to 5 because there's so many people that have had so much influence on the South Side. And
this mural, it depicts 5
trailblazers, kind of people that have just kind of made like a tremendous impact on Madison South Side, Village Mothers, and very great group. Our friend Marcus Miles was originally thought about, and there are definitely other people that we knew, that were originally going to be up there, and I admired them for making such a tough decision.
Yeah.
And so I talked to as many family members as I could, like Lori Mancarey's daughter, her sister Becky, who helped start the Man Fund with her, Wayne Strong's wife Terry, who he was very emotional about it. She just loved it. She went there with to go see it right when it was up. And she's like, I love it so much, but I, also wish that he was here. He passed away, a couple of years ago. And then I talked to Karen from Central because Ilda Thomas, the founder of Central Spano, was up there. And she was just so happy to see it because in the old Central, she had a picture of Ilda that she would, see every day. And now she gets to see this beautiful mural. And then, of course, Al Stoodsville and Yursa Green, who was a cook at Boys and Girls Club right on the South Side for like 25 years. So there's just generations of kids that got to know her. I talked to Cedric Morris, her son. So it was just like a lot of different people to talk to and, Michael Ford. And it was just wonderful. And I got the picture as soon as I could. I remember coming back and I got a great picture, but half of it was in the sun. So, a good journalist probably would have got some coffee and waited the sun out and waited it for the whole thing to be in the sun and then taken the picture, but didn't have the time. So then Omar was covering something at Central and he went over and he got the picture that you'll see at madison365.com.
And we'll have a link to that in the show notes. And thanks for that, Dave.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to mention quick is the Madison Jazz Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up, there's 17 performances and a camp, all between June 5th and 15th. You've got the story up at Madison365.org, and there's a link to the lineup. But there's some at Union Terrace, some at Cafe Coda, some at other venues around town. And it's a mix of local and touring folks, just wide variety within the jazz milieu, but
so fancy, Rob.
Yeah. But one of them is something that Dave, I wanted to ask you about. That is a tribute, a Mary Lou Williams tribute. That's actually a repeat of something that was actually taken from Madison to Washington, D.C., right? And you talked with...
Right. Yeah, no, I'd done a story with Favu Fabu Phyllis Carter. I just call her Fabu.
Mm-hmm.
And Jane Reynolds, great jazz pianist, and they performed at the Kennedy Center in Washington D.C. last weekend, and I did a story on it. Mostly talked to Fabu, who was she's a lifelong fan of Mary Lou Williams. She did her PhD dissertation on Mary Lou Williams. She's been to all the Mary Lou Williams, like everything in her life, like, libraries dedicated to her. And I actually learned a lot about Mary Lou Williams from Fabu, who knows everything about of Mary Lou Williams, who was a jazz artist, a female jazz artist when it was kind of a male-dominated field, and she was kind of a trailblazer in her own right. And so they performed at the Kennedy Center, and they will be performing as part of the Jazz Festival coming up too.
Yeah.
And they've been doing this for a while, so they're really good at it.
And
that's Jane Reynolds and Fabu Phyllis Carter.
Yeah, and that's going to be on June 10th. That's I remember you talking about the process of that story. You're like, it's going to be hard because she Fabu knows so much about Mary Lou Williams and sends so much.
Oh my goodness! We
it's
talked
hard
for an hour about her, and it was all interesting. But it's just like, for the sake of a story, you gotta pick out the nuggets. Otherwise, you're gonna lose the reader at some point. But there were so many good little nuggets about her life and Fabu's, honoring her life.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So it's again Jazz Festival. That's at Madison365.org. Omar.
Yes.
The other day I came to the office and you were there and you pointed at the whiteboard. Yeah. I said, I got a story. Yeah. And he had a whole bunch of notes on the whiteboard. And this is about former Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner.
Yeah.
And the University of Wisconsin and some immigrant advocate communities.
Yes. If you don't know, Jim Sensenbrenner is a longtime Wisconsin elected official representing a good portion of the Milwaukee area. He's the guy behind a lot of different things that have more or less shaped the trajectory of our foreign policy, especially domestically in that area, specifically around immigrants. He introduced the Patriot Act. He's not the author of it, but he introduced it when no one else did. He co-authored the Real ID Act. He brought about the failed 2005 Anti-Immigrant Act that led to all these various social movements that are still alive today. And last Friday, he got an honorary degree from UW-Madison. Who knows why? I asked about the various considerations, the overall breadth of how someone receives that is someone externally nominates them. There's a council that votes on it. The chancellor, I was trying to remember the title. I'm still thinking president, but I know that's not right. The chancellor approves it, and it's for people who have contributed internationally, locally, and nationally to the advancement of humanity, but his career stems extremely anti-immigrant policy.
And there were some advocates, immigrant rights organizations that took issue with this?
Yes. The Center for American Islamic Relations, they are not happy about it at all. They condemn the university for doing it, wonder why is there no moral consideration for who should receive these honorary degrees. They're not happy. I spoke with UW-Madison professor Armando Ibarra. He's the one who actually brought the issue to my attention in the first place. He's shocked. He's
disappointed, I imagine.
Yes,
yeah.
Very. Him, a Marquette professor who got all his degrees from UW-Madison, also Sergio Gonzalez, same deal. Both of them are professors specifically in Latino social movements that stemmed from Sensenbrenner's 2005 anti-immigrant bill. They're not happy. They're disappointed in their alma maters. It's just so many different things. So many different words they use to express their disappointment.
Probably both languages. They sell languages that they can. And I imagine too, like the sort of disconnect they're feeling with UW, not recognizing and acknowledging why this is a harm for folks, right? And maybe not even doing that. Maybe not an extensive look. I don't know that they are asking for an extensive conversation, but hey, y'all, maybe give us a heads up. Like, come and let us know we're moving in this direction and why we're moving in this direction, what the process was, if not for the fact that we're doing the story, would people be aware of what the process has been, why it came to be, and why this decision was made, right? Like, they found out after the person was announced rather than there was care to make sure they were informed, right? And so like, oh, it's already happened. It's too late now. There's no further.
I feel like, which means that the people considering the degree maybe weren't aware even that Sensenbrenner was known as an anti-immigrant figure.
There's a choice here.
Yeah.
I will acknowledge and I will say I work for UW. Anything I say right now is not an opinion that UW takes on, blah, 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 right? We know that caveat. But, that was a choice. Either they knew they didn't care, which isn't okay either, or they didn't want to do that work, right? To care, because this choice was about appeasing a certain side. Because let's not play games. At a federal and state level, UW is losing money, important money for research. We are a top research institution. We need to protect that because it impacts all these folks and who are employed by us, who come to school, who choose to come to school here. And so we have to think bigger picture. And how do we get them to like us enough to like not disseminate our funding, and what we'll say is take care of our reputation, i.e., but also take care of our staff and employees and blah, blah. So we'll harm over here because it's only a little bit of a harm, right? In their heads. I'm not saying it is a little harm, but in their heads, it's like a little bit of a harm so that we can keep you all employed and we can, blah, blah, that game, right? That storytelling we tell ourselves is like, we won't do that extra step of asking folks, is this a harm for you all? Like, and why, or acknowledging like this person is harmful to some parts of our community, and we need to have a bigger conversation around this. They made a different choice. These were all choices. That committee could have maybe did have that conversation and chose differently still, because the value of hurting over here versus the one versus the many conversation is maybe what they had, and not any better, they decided they didn't want to know more.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's easier not to know more. It absolves me of responsibility. It doesn't really, when I get to say, I didn't know. I had no idea. You have the interwebs. Yes, you can know.
Yeah.
You have folks around you. Yes, you can know. You don't get to absolve yourself of that.
Right. Also, it occurs to me that a couple weeks ago we talked about Conrad Elvium, former Madison president, who as it turns out, did some racist stuff. Signed a housing covenant. Didn't allow a film regarding housing discrimination to be shown on campus, and they're unnaming schools after him. Like they're taking his name off of elementary schools.
Yeah,
because we've decided, even though it happened a long time ago, even though he's long dead, even though it was a different time, we don't want to honor that.
Well, and also because there are repercussions from that harm,
right,
that it still exists today.
Right.
And I know we're saying that this person, Sensenbrenner, was anti-immigrant. He's anti-brown and black, because that harm, though they're saying it's anti-immigrant, it harms those of us, who he thinks are immigrants, who he has decided he wants to be anti-toward. So it absolutely impacts those of us who are also citizens. Whether we're born here, whether we got naturalized, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this person's harm is not only at that category of folks that he's saying he's trying to limit or curtail from. He is trying to harm all of us that are not his version of what an American should look like or should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this choice of Mr. Elvian, it's not just because of what he did previously. It's because there is residual harm still that we are also experiencing, and that's where we're moving him.
Right. Exactly. And Sensenbrenner's was
harm is continuing.
Yeah, and
it's not directed
legislation.
Yeah, it's legislation. It's system. They use the system to harm us, and absolutely those who are most harmed are those who are considered immigrants. Absolutely, and also the us residually are also being harmed because of the way we look, and that was the point. They wanted to limit our voices, limit our ability to have an ID, limit our ability to use an ID to vote. Like, there are choices here, right? Yep. Like they are making access harder for lots of us for a reason.
Yeah.
And UW gave him an honorary degree.
Well, he was doing this 20 years ago.
And there's residual harm, and he's still doing it.
And
he's still doing it. Just because he's not front and center does not mean he stopped doing it, y'all.
Oh, right, exactly. And it started. He started with that bill 20 years ago, which incidentally didn't pass the Senate. It passed the House. Is that right?
Well, the first one, the 2005 immigrant bill, it passed the House. It did not pass the Senate.
Okay, so they never even went into effect, but it was still harmful because, as people still know about it. Because that set an agenda, which now just today, as we're recording this, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments about birthright citizenship.
Yep.
Like that's the steady march that we've been on for 20 years, starting with, arguably, the 2005 anti-immigrant bill that Jim Sensenbrenner put through the House.
And when we say, like, all these little things matter because they build to something bigger, we mean it.
Right.
And who it harms the most is often those of us, again, who are Black and brown.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point. And this is not a game of we told you so. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say here. It's like, what we're saying is, hey, listen to us, because this is historic. We've seen this happen in how many different cycles in so many different ways in the history of the United States, which we're coming, up to, in July, like, and possibly some sort of grand parade, right? Like
the birthday parade.
Like, when we say this to y'all, this is what we mean. Like, these choices have impact, and in whatever positions of power that you're in, to pretend not to recognize it or to choose not to acknowledge it or to do that extra work to see like what the harm might be is a choice that it's going to do harm.
That's right. All right, so that Omar has that story. Thank you for that reporting, Omar. That's up at Madison365.org this morning, Friday morning. Before we take a break, I have one other lighter thing to talk about. The rest of the show is going to be a little bit lighter than that. Last week we talked with Jasmine Banks about outdoors opportunities in the summertime here in Wisconsin, in southern Wisconsin. And one of the people I talked to for that story also was Dexter Patterson, who is, incidentally, you'll know that name because he's occasionally a sports columnist for us and sports photographer. He's been for 15 years or so using those photography skills and honing those photography skills as a birder, traveling around the Midwest, spotting and taking photos of birds. And he is co-founder of the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin, trying to get people of color outdoors more. And he's got a book coming out in October, and you can pre-order it now. But this Timber Press is putting out these regional pocket-sized field guides. And they actually, and Dexter had still has a solid following on Twitter. And somebody from Timber Press, Ryan Harrington, the acquisitions editor there, kind of followed him and knew about him and was a big fan of, especially how he talked about birding as not just taking pictures of birds, but like finding joy and finding good health and being outside and engaging people and getting outside. So actually reached out to Dexter 2 years ago and said, I want to use you some way. So would you be the author of our Great Lakes regional field guide? So Dexter spent the last 2 years gathering photos and facts and habitat and diet and everything like that about 150 birds from 50 different families. And it looks fantastic. And a lot of his photography is in it. And again, that's available for pre-order now, and it'll be out on anywhere books are sold, Barnes and Noble, whatever, October 7th. And it was nice to talk to Dexter and Ryan Harrington about that book, and that's up at Madison365.org as well.
And so we're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back,
when we come back, we'll have Apache Danforth and Jamie Betters from Green Bay. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And joining us now from Green Bay, Wisconsin, Jamie Betters and Apache Danforth, the co-owners of the Off the Trails Cafe, which just opened a couple weeks ago. How are you both doing?
Great. Very great.
good.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving us some time. And I talked to you a couple of weeks ago when you were first opening, which was a surprise to me. Apache, you were on the most influential Native American leaders list. And I just like to write profiles of people who are on those lists. And I called you and we were talking for a minute. And you said, well, I have a restaurant opening this weekend. And I said, well, I think there's my story. There's the story. And that was, you opened when, like the late April, right?
April 12th, I believe.
April 12th, early April. Okay. So it's been about a month since you opened Off the Trail. And first of all, how's it going?
I'll just jump in real quick and just say it's going amazing, and the support that we've gotten from our community and even our community neighbors has been just jaw-dropping, and we're incredibly thankful. And when having a restaurant, the restaurant industry, it's iffy, and we went into it with the thought that it's not just about selling sandwiches and making our quota. It's really about building a community and providing access to healthy, fresh options to our community. So, Jamie,
Just as well as, kind of piggybacking what Apache had mentioned and kind of I shared before we even got started, is that we're really on this natural high of all of the support and the various interests of what we're doing and what we're going to be doing. And so that is really exciting, and it really makes us, I know that for myself, it really makes me feel like, all right, we are doing what we are intended to do, and we are really focusing on what we wanted to do. And we were like, okay, let's not, so many businesses and others, they want to give suggestions on your business because everybody wants you to succeed. And our focus was really on, as well, what Apache had mentioned about access to, to healthy and nutritional foods. So we didn't really focus on food sovereignty because we kind of have to we can't create our own policies. We actually have to follow tribal, state, and federal policies in regards to a business, right? So our aim is really to focus on food security and food insecurity, so that it's understanding that our community and surrounding communities have access to nutritional foods and with a less of an expense. And I feel like that we're hitting it, and they are definitely taking and receiving what we're trying to accomplish. So that's been amazing.
That's great. Now, the reason we're talking today is that you actually have a official grand opening celebration set for May 31st. So we're going to talk a little bit about that specific event. But first, I want to, you kind of alluded to what you're doing. And can you just describe what it is you're doing, what you're planning to do, like just hours, what kind of food we can expect if we walk in the door, that kind of thing?
Yeah, our hours are, we are open every day of the week from 7 until 2. And the foods that you will see when you come in are definitely a to-go type of vibe. So we have gourmet sandwiches and sides, and we really emphasize on our drinks. So we do cold pressed juices, we do wellness shots, as well as some of our traditional foods. So we have the ability to not only grow, but it's, again, seed to plate, and then have those foods already prepared so that our community members and those that are around us that live very active lifestyles are able to hit us as they go about their work or their play. And so yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. If you want to add more, Apache.
We are open every day of the week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 2, and then on the weekends, 8 to 2. But we do want to remind everybody that we are both moms and have active children, and that some days that we are going to shut down, but we'll definitely give some proper notice for that. And just adding on to kind of some of our offerings, we really just started releasing our menu in phases. And the first phase is a breakfast menu. So we got a hot grill. We have breakfast sandwiches. We have breakfast burritos. We have pancake tacos. We have mini pancake bowls. Those have been a favorite of a lot of the families coming in to get the mini pancakes. And both the mini pancakes and the pancake tacos have mixed berries with the choice of drizzle. So it's just been really well received. The foods are easily, prepped and ready to go, but also, prepared quickly in the back if you want something hot on the go as well. And we will be adding more to our menu. This is just, the tip of what we're doing.
So you're starting out slow and ramping up, which is probably a smart strategy. Now you're also planning to do some additional sort of activity type things and workshops and that kind of stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my background working with the nation for over 20 years, I worked at our Oneida Cannery. And so it was kind of like really utilizing that training and looking at what our community needs and is yearning for. So again, in regards to shaping our business, we wanted to make sure that we are always servicing our community. So we're not always just slinging sandwiches and all that good stuff, but we're also a service. So we're going to be providing workshops on food preservation and in regards to not only just traditional foods, but even how to can your own goods. We have our own garden. So again, we're really looking at seed to plate. So to have our own garden here on site is just like, I don't know. I don't have enough words to explain that as they were tailing it up today. And just to really see the dream in fruition and the support about allowing us to have access to these lands is what we want to give back to our community and give them a space to be able to come in and learn, because who has a kitchen that they want to pound out pickles and salsas and do dehydration, and who knows a lot about fermentation of food. So we want to be that incubator. We want to be that hub for them and give them that opportunity, as well as utilize your kitchen to give them space. So we're not only in it for ourselves, but we want to also allow community members to grow into our space, into our kitchen, because it's huge. And that's why we really got on when they said, hey, it's available. It was just like, oh my gosh, what we could do in that kitchen. And so to expand our services was like, okay, here's what our menu is going to look like, but then here's what the kitchen services is going to look like. And then here's what the growth is going to look like. So as an FDA food processor, I was just like, all right, we're going to certify our kitchen FDA, because that allows us to pound out other foods that can leave the reservation. So we really wanted to, capitalize on that, to look at the revenues, because we have to create revenues in order to sustain our business, right?
Sure.
So that will allow us to then be a service. So bringing in those funds of the food that leaves the res allows us to then do a service to our community by opening up our kitchen, by doing workshops that really emphasize traditional and nutrition. So we really want to walk the talk in all ways, more than just one.
So just add to that, Robert, too.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, just and super excited about the garden and that, ability to have that right there at, right on our property, right where we're located. People can see where their food's coming from. I mean, to me, that's just, I'm so excited about that. Like Jamie said, I don't have the words, but we also cater. We're a tribal vendor. We can cater within our own tribe. So a lot of departments have been reaching out to us to help them with their meetings, which is really super exciting, as well as, kind of just pop-up artist shows. We got some, some things to use the dining room space as well. And Jamie don't know this yet, but I got an offer to do a pop-up fashion show during our powwow. So there's so many
Wow.
opportunities. Yeah, there's so many opportunities to use that space and to, be, like Jamie said, be that service to our community and give people a space to gather as well.
You talked both of you mentioned the space itself, and I want to ask, tell me the story about how you found the space, because you have two other co-owners who actually stumbled on the space. Is that right?
Sure. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. We did talk about that a little bit about our co-owners, Jeremiah Danforth, who is um not related to me, just to clarify. Well, I think there was some confusion before. Both him and I were maybe married, but no, we're not related. Just the same last name. And then Brian Wilson. And they are, they have their own companies. They have a concrete construction company as well as a trucking company. And they are entrepreneurs. So they were looking for a space to put another business venture that they're still pursuing. And they were looking at the tribes, what the tribe had available. Uh, and it was that incredible location that had been sitting empty for quite a few years. Well, a few years. And Jeremiah found out, that Oneida Retail managed it. He reached out to Oneida Retail, and from day one, they were just incredibly supportive. So we really want to give a shout out to Oneida Retail using this platform, because they supported the business model from day one. They supported us going in there. They did everything that they could to make the leasing and the move-in process really seamless. So we do want to give a shout out to them and thank them, as well as the bank. Bain Bank did our business funding. I don't want to get too far off topic, but
No, that's fine.
those were some of the things that we needed to do to move in and get started on this business. So, down that entrepreneurial trail of, is this going to work or not? And um, e- everybody was incredibly supportive from the beginning, and that's kind of how we came across that. I said, "Hey, Jamie," I was like, "There's that restaurant's open down at the One Stop on Wabi. What do you think about trying to open it up in there?" And she already had it in her mind what she wanted to do with that. She goes, "Here's what it is. We sat down at my house. We all sat down at my kitchen table and met." And she's like, "Okay, this is what we're gonna do." And it just, from there, everything just like happened really quickly.
Well, and it occurs to me that your two co-owners are both entrepreneurs. Apache, you're an entrepreneur. You've got. I know you. I first talked to you because you started Good Words Travel, right? The travel company, Native American tourism company. You had Good Words Consulting, which is a PR firm. So, is it you find that like you were all just kind of in that mindset and ready when a opportunity just sort of like floated by, you're going to grab it and run, right? And not you already know like how to start a business. It was just a question of starting this one.
From my own perspective, these two businesses, I'm going to open another business. Like, it was really scary. But that, kind of like, what am I doing? Like, I have these other businesses I need to focus on, but really they all work together from my perspective. Like the travel business, we're planning a tour in August. We're going to use that space to feed them. They're going to get a culinary experience, indigenous culinary experience when I bring my tours through our facility. So it is helping, helping each other. But yeah, definitely, entrepreneurs and, knowing how to start a business, knowing what, that space looks like, definitely helped us in launching and really kind of overcoming that fear of, oh my God, what are we doing? But I would really be kind of interested to hear what Jamie,
I was just going to ask what Apache said. You had the whole thing in your mind right away. Is that true?
Well, from my work with the nation, right, the year before that I had moved on to a position in New York, I had worked with the vendor. We had received a really big time grant to do a feasibility study on a new cannery and a new processing facility. So with all of that work that I did with them and understanding the market and having to do all of the analysis and the breakdown in cost and the analyticals of every single product, to what you want to launch, to what should be launched, and then what you're going to market as far as encouraging community members to want to eat, right? So I knew from that work really to create a plan based on what I felt would work in a food type of diner restaurant. And it really, through that work, it really kind of gave us more direction as to a menu because we could always grow, right? So we wanted to really start to what we knew would take off and then have the ability to grow. I did not, however, think that our community would embrace and cold press juices right off the bat. I myself am a all about health and wellness, and so and I hope that I exemplify and live that. And I mean, I live that, but I hope that it shows that, right?
Right.
And so, for me to do cold press juices, it's something that I do on my own. And I wanted to incorporate that, but I honestly had no idea that it would really be something that our community was looking for and yearning for. And then the excitement of the next product, right? So then it was like, let's get on the shots. Let's get on the little shorties, the little wellness shorties, and give them a little understanding as to the boost of these shots. And we have a hard time keeping up with that production. So it really just, again, verifies or solidifies that, yeah, that market analysis and that work and that amount of money that we put into that sustainability plan was really useful in the long run of this business.
I'm not sure if listeners could hear. You were literally clapping while you were talking.
Sorry.
So no, it's
I
good.
get excited.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you are. I can feel your passion for this business and for this endeavor. It's I almost even hesitate to call it a business. It seems more like a enterprise of some kind. You know what I mean?
It's,
or like a
Yeah.
right.
We don't know what to call it either.
project,
We
a
don't
big
even-
project. It feels like a big project or something. But you've gotten a little bit of, like you mentioned, Baybank it kind of financed it, and but also you just recently got $10,000 from the Indigenous Food Producers Grant from the Great Lakes Intertribal Food Coalition, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yes, congratulations on that. But also, you're going to supply for the Tribal Elder Food Box program for 5 out of the 8 delivery days. Can you tell me about that program and how you're involved with that?
Yeah, it's so exciting. And really, it's with Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin.
Okay.
And they're the one that launched the Native Producer Capacity Investment Fund. And again, it was to underwrite or to purchase supplies, equipment, and other resources that we need to increase the capacity of food production. And so we're all about food production. And that's really all that I know is in regards to production. So it was like, oh, we need to get on this if we can. And then being a new business, I was really unsure about, what that kind of looked like and what type of support. Again, this is in regards to the current administration too. So at a time when that administration was newly elected, some of those funds were gone, right? So then it became, actually they are gone, I think, at the moment. So they were able to still have this small grant available to, I'm not sure how many were able to receive this. And we are incredibly grateful, especially because those funds are really hard to get right now, and we may not get those again. And so with Feeding America and with Great Lakes Intertribal Food Coalition, they've created this really great program called the Elder Box that allows, and it's an initiative focused on increasing access to not just nutritional, but what's amazing is culturally appropriate foods for tribal members aged 55 and older. So again, it's to really improve the dietary health of our tribal elders. And again, this is everything that we exemplify to be. So to be able to provide product for them, one, it just gives us those warm feelings, but to really have our business into those boxes, to be able to collaborate with Feeding America and the Great Lakes Food Coalition, was extremely important to us. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool, especially the culturally appropriate part. Because food and culture are just so intertwined, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Food, there's always this saying that food is our medicine, food is the medicine. And so we really, really look at that in every product that we have. and every new product that we want to launch. So when one of the parts of the grant that we received is being able to do the analyticals on our strawberry drink. So that is going to allow us to do all of the nutritional facts. It's going to be allow us to identify the shelf life, as well as our main recipe that we want to stick with, so that incorporates maple. And so
Oh, cool.
I don't ever say maple syrup. I always say maple, and maple is medicine. And so to be able to have a really good analyticals of what that product gives us in regards to nutrition is really, 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 really cool. So on the business side, then that allows us to have longevity. That allows us to know what that shelf life is, so that we can then have these really amazing products leave the res, go to other reses, other indigenous communities. And again, it brings back revenue for the sustainability of our business.
That's really cool. We had Elena Terry on the show last year. When she was on Top Chef, and
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's great. And food is medicine is a thing she said also. So that sounded familiar. So let's look ahead now to not this weekend, but next weekend, the May 31st is your big day. What do you have planned for the day? Anything special?
Yeah, so it's gonna be a normal day of business for us, but it's 7:30 in the morning. We've asked our one of our cultural leaders in our community, Bob Brown, to come and do a tobacco burning. So that is part of our culture. It is ceremony where we burn tobacco, and we put our really good thoughts and intentions into that. And so that, and we're inviting the media to everything. We're just asking during that part that people don't take any photos or videography or anything during that part. But then we're also going to do a ribbon cutting after. So we're inviting, it's kind of unique where we are too, Robert, as far as like the location, because we're on the Oneida Reservation. However, there's also a De Pere address, an Ashwaubenon address, and a Green Bay address for that location. So we've kind of just been sticking to 3120 South Packerland Drive because we know we're on the res. So, but my point is that we're going to invite the Chamber of Commerce from each of those communities, because it's really a unique opportunity for us to meet our neighbors and for our neighbors to meet us as well, and our community. So we'll be doing that, and then it's business as usual.
And do you have a website or social media presence that folks can kind of take a look at the menu and stuff?
So we do have a Facebook page, and we have an Instagram, and the Facebook is Off the Trail, and the Instagram is Off the Trail 4. Really kind of excited about our social presence, because we launched March 22nd, Facebook and Instagram, and we have over 1,100 followers on Facebook, and our Instagram following is growing as.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
so it's really we're again. It was been amazing.
Yeah, we will link to both of those profiles, Facebook and Instagram, in the show notes, so folks can follow and keep up with what you have going on. Jamie Betters, Apache Danforth, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck. Best of luck as the cafe grows.
Thank you so
Robert.
much.
And we're back. So I have one question, because I heard you all didn't do questions when I wasn't here. Am I wrong?
We did not.
I'm disappointed in all of you. You all could have participated.
We can't think of a question without you.
You have the better questions.
I don't know. I mean, this one was inspired by Dave, because Dave actually asked a question, and I was like, oh, actually. This made me think, and it made me think of this question, because I already have my answer. But what seasonal dish do you only get in that season? So it could be or any food, any drink, something that you only get in the summer. Maybe it's only offered in the summer because of the seasonality of that main ingredient. or it's tied to a holiday of some sort. Like, what is that one thing?
Favorite seasonal.
Favorite thing that you get excited about because you're like, oh, this season. And also will not allow yourself, because they made me, I was like, oh, I would not allow myself to get this right now, but I would love to get it right now because it can only exist in my experience in this one way. Mm-hmm. All right, who wants to go first?
I could go first, sure. Well, my parents run this restaurant called Quivy's Grove in Fitchburg, and every winter they go to their winter Christmas menu, and so I have always gotten the same thing.
Oh, do you?
It's only like
from that menu?
Yeah, I mean it's a series of things: a soup, a prime rib, and a ginger steamed pudding. So.
Oh,
ooh, that sounds good.
Ooh, that sounds yummy. We maybe need to take a team trip.
Team trip would be great.
Team trip is what I'm hearing. Maybe a team lunch. All right, Dave.
I like grilled Mexican sweet corn. So I here you can only get that. I only get that at the festivals in the summer.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most delicious things, and it's just so messy and good. It's
so messy.
It's not like a first date food.
No. This is somebody who's loved you for years, and knows that you're sloppy
just
when you
eating
eat this.
it, and like a typewriter, and your face is getting full of all the stuff, and,
butter and mayonnaise.
And I don't. It's not really available. I never had it in winter. I'm sure it is, but I've never had it. So that's mine.
Candy corn. Controversial. I like candy corn.
Is that even a food?
It's seasonal.
I mean, it is seasonal.
Which season is that from?
It's corn.
The Halloween.
But like the
spooky season.
The ingredients all together. Where is there food in that, or is that all like it looks plastic and waxy?
And it's fantastic. Close second, eggnog. Don't know why you can only get that during the winter. That's so disappointing.
That is very specific. Yeah.
I was actually going to say eggnog.
Yeah,
because I think Omar and I are on the same page because I also love candy corn. I also love eggnog, and I'm the only one in my house who likes eggnog. So I get all the eggnog when I.
And he tries to get it, and you get the fattiest, most expensive.
Yeah, there's none of this light stuff like
he gets so
light eggnog, whatever. I will also say that the real dish, the seasonal food that is ribs on the grill.
Oh, sure.
Because you can only do that in summer. I don't do ribs in the oven. I got to do it with smoke. I don't even have a side smoker. I don't have a proper smoker grill. I just do it with wood chips on the charcoal and carefully monitoring the temperature. And it's the whole afternoon. But
it's like a whole day.
It is. It's the whole day thing.
Yep. And you do a whole thing.
Yeah, marinate the night before and you do the rub and everything. But that's definitely summer to me is ribs and just this is my way of telling you we're having ribs this weekend.
Yeah.
Do they fall off the bone?
Absolutely.
Yes, they have to.
Oh, wow.
They have to.
Okay.
And not only that, but you can tell, it's going to be a rib day. Ribs are coming up because Rob gets really excited about it. He has a whole, there's a whole ee. And I was like, relax. You're like, I'm so excited. And I'm like, we know, we can tell. Mine is actually tamales. Look, you can have tamales throughout the year. I can only have them on Christmas Eve, and in a very specific way. And I really want some right now. I have a craving for them, and I was like, no, I can't.
It's not Christmas.
It's not Christmas. I can't do it. My mom will get mad. People will know. My ancestors will know, and they, be disappointed. So I can't do it. But that was mine when I thought about it.
But it's because you make them. The whole family is
it's a
around
whole
the table.
Family. I mean, it's a whole family community sort of experience, and there's it's an all day thing. We all know it. We're all involved with it. And no matter what your age is, you have a role and a job to do. Yep. You may graduate into a role. You won't know until that day.
I have not graduated.
You are still always going to be a tire. You insist.
I tie the ends. That's all I do.
And he insists that he is ready for the next level. And each year we tell him, no, you're not ready yet. That's how we know you're not ready. You should know that you're not ready. If you think you are entitled to a role, that whiteness needs to get out. We'll tell you when you're ready.
20 Christmases.
20.
And I'm still just tying on the end.
Look at you. Look at you making sure. Dang, Rob, you are keeping count. I didn't realize that was that many Christmases. Okay, so Rob has some things to unpack, but you can don't do it at Christmas because they'll go after you.
Maybe let them do one extra
No.
Completely forgets about it.
There've been one or two times when we've been here.
Yeah.
Because we're usually at your
Mom's house.
At your mom's house.
Yeah.
For Christmas, and there's a couple times when we've been home, and I've actually put the masa in the hoja.
Yeah, but you didn't do a good job, so Maddie took you out.
But we were understaffed.
Our older daughter took it.
because
we were understaffed, and then we moved
so,
him out.
Yeah. So somebody had to do the masa, so I got you that like once or twice.
You did it once or twice, and each time we're like, okay, we got to replace you. You're a tire. You're a tire. We will be back next week. Have a good weekend, though.
365 Amplified is produced and edited by me, Rob Chappell, and is a production of 365 Media Foundation, a nonprofit, local, independent media organization in Madison, Wisconsin. Wherever you're listening to this right now, hit the subscribe or follow button to get new episodes every Friday. And between episodes, get your latest news at madison365.org and follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads. Wherever you get your news, we'll be there.